Imagine this. The person who knows your every quirk, who finishes your sentences, who's been your constant in a world that never stops changing, lying motionless in a hospital bed. The room hums with machines, wires snake across pale sheets, and the air feels too heavy to breathe. Where there was once laughter, now there's only the steady, haunting rhythm of a heart monitor. For Kelly Ripa, this wasn't a scene from a movie. This was her real life, a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Her husband, Mark Consuelos, had been rushed to the ICU after a sudden medical crisis no one saw coming. The woman whose smile could brighten millions of mornings was now clinging to hope in a sterile hospital hallway, whispering prayers under her breath as doctors worked desperately to save the man she loved. She remembers the sirens, the chaos, the blur of flashing lights. She remembers following the gurney through endless corridors, thinking, this can't be real. One moment, they were talking about what to have for dinner, and the next, everything changed. Mark's condition was serious. When he finally opened his eyes, his voice was faint, but his words carried the weight of a lifetime. He didn't talk about the pain. He didn't complain. He asked to see their children. It wasn't just a father's wish. It was the plea of a man who knew how fragile time could be. Kelly said she could see it in his eyes, that deep, unspoken understanding that maybe, just maybe, these could be his final moments. And yet, even in that fear, there was love. A quiet, unwavering kind of love that fills the room even when words fail. But there was a problem. Their kids were scattered, some in school, some working, all living the independent lives their parents had proudly encouraged. Kelly was torn. Should she protect them from the heartbreak, or honor Mark's request and bring them to his bedside, even if it meant confronting the unthinkable? In the end, love won. She called them home. When the kids arrived, the room transformed. Mark, weak but determined, gathered his strength and sat up. One by one, he spoke to each child. He told his eldest to be brave and lead with kindness. He told another to never lose their laughter, because laughter, he said, was a kind of healing. He looked at each of them with tears in his eyes, and somehow, even with machines beeping around him, he gave them peace. Kelly stood silently, her heart splitting in two, one half terrified of losing him, the other full of awe at the love he still managed to give. She knew what he was doing. He was preparing his family, not just for the possibility of goodbye, but for life after it. Later that night, when the kids had gone, Mark reached for Kelly's hand and whispered, "If I can't tell them tomorrow how much I love them, promise me you will." She nodded through tears, holding on to those words as tightly as she held his hand. Days passed like lifetimes. Kelly spent sleepless nights in the waiting room, replaying every memory, their first date, their wedding, the times they laughed until their sides hurt. She realized then that every family, at some point, faces this same moment, when love and fear collide, when every I love you becomes a prayer, and then a shift. Small at first, a flicker of color in his cheeks, a stronger heartbeat, a smile that made her believe again. Against all odds, Mark began to heal. Each small victory felt monumental. The first time he sat up, the first time he walked a few steps, the first time his laughter filled the room again. The hospital that once felt like a prison became a place of quiet miracles. Kelly decorated the room with family photos and drawings from the kids. They told stories, played soft music, and celebrated every single breath of progress. The beeping machines faded into the background, replaced by the sound of life returning. Mark later told her that in those first hours, he truly thought he might not make it. But every time he opened his eyes and saw her face, he found strength. Her love anchored him. It gave him a reason to fight. When he was finally discharged, walking out of that hospital felt like stepping into sunlight after a long, endless night. The drive home was silent, not because there was nothing to say, but because everything that needed to be said had already been spoken through tears, through faith, through love. That night, back home, they didn't talk about what they'd lost. They talked about what they'd gained. A second chance. A reminder that every ordinary moment is actually extraordinary. Kelly says that experience changed their family forever. It stripped away distractions, arguments, little annoyances, all the things that don't really matter. What was left was love. Raw, honest, grateful love. She now shares that message with everyone she meets. Don't wait to say I love you. Don't wait to forgive. Don't wait to laugh or hold someone close or tell them how much they mean to you. Because when life suddenly reminds you how fragile it is, love is all that remains, the only thing that truly matters. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest miracle of all.